free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, the wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the Fans Forum on Monday night, and the run keeps on going. 8 wins out of 8. Newcastle progressing to the 4th round of the FA Cup and getting Birmingham as the away tie in the next round match to be played 8th and 9th of February. One would imagine Newcastle's game will get moved to the Sunday on that occasion, but no confirmation of that yet. But let's concentrate on the match that we saw yesterday on Sunday, and Newcastle winning by 3-1 against Bromley. Bumped into some Bromley fans today, having a great weekend, thoroughly enjoyed themselves, loved the trip to St James's Park, and delighted obviously with the fact that they managed to get a goal and scored early as well. Got the first goal, but Newcastle United, despite making massive amounts of changes, which we expected, essentially coming away with a comfortable 3-1 win. Everybody happy, and that little FA Cup run, the fans were saying, probably made in the region of £1 million for Bromley, which will go a long way to building their new stand, which is fantastic for them. But they also asked me to say tonight, coming on the show, to pass on a general thank you to every Newcastle fan who made them feel so welcome. They said they've never been to an away game where they felt as welcome, and loved it. We're really delighted. So that's great stuff. Great to see that Newcastle United still have that kind of reputation amongst visiting fans, that it's a friendly place to come. They left with a great impression, and are looking forward, they said, to coming and playing us in the Premier League one day. So fantastic. Good that they think we'll still be there. Good to think that they can achieve that. And I've already seen Steve Middlemas come talking about one of their most popular fans that people saw yesterday. It was Bromley's inflatable doll, which was getting jumped all over the place when they scored. Maybe there's enough said about that, the better. We'll keep that for the amigos on a Friday. George, what did you make of that game?
Yes. Well, it was first half was pedestrian. That's the only word I can use. And when they scored, you couldn't help but think, is this the banana skin after all of those changes? Because having supported this team for 70 years, the number of years when we've got into a game which seemed it was a walkover and we've ended up on our backsides, even with the big teams that won the cup so much. You can reel the teams off: Wigan, Bristol Rovers, Hereford, Cambridge. Yeah, they're etched in your mind when that first goal went in. But worse, if Bromley had just another 6 inches on that second attempt and made it 2-0, that really would have been a mountain to climb, because the big set of lads who are going to defend like demons But thank goodness it didn't happen. And thank goodness for Lewis Miley. Wow, what a man they've made of him. Every time I see him, he's bigger. He's got more bulk, which I think's absolutely great. But I've been twittering on for the last 18 months about an extra yard of pace and doing something about that. Well, I think they have. Anybody who looks at a video before his injury and looks at a video now of him coming back, and his gait's different. He's on his front foot, ready to go now, where before he sometimes was on his heels. Where now he's on his front foot, ready to go at the off, and that's what happened on Sunday when he received that ball. He said after the match, the only thing was in his mind was his senior players telling him, when you see the goal, shoot, and that's what he did. Thank goodness he did. What a beautiful, beautiful goal. And the first half was his. It was just him on the pitch as far as I was concerned. Even some of the senior players didn't cover themselves in glory. But he certainly did. And he felt he looked comfortable in that anchor role where he was directing traffic and playing the ball out here, there and everywhere. Great. Somebody that sits beside me at the game said that did I have a comparison to somebody in football over the years that I've watched it? Well, I'm going to give you a big comparison. Busby Babes' top man was a young man called Duncan Edwards, who was killed at Munich. And the Lewis Miley that we've got now is as close to a 17-year-old Duncan Edwards as I've seen. And that's a huge compliment, believe me. And I hope that stays that way, because if he is, we've got a giant on our hands. He will eclipse all the others in that team. So that was the good thing. Otherwise, first half was very pedestrian indeed. Then we have the substitutions at half time with Bruno and Gordon coming on, and they changed the pace of the game. And once that happened, Bromley were lost because we went at it at a different pace altogether. Plus, in the first half, our young centre forward was a spare part. They didn't really know how to make use of him. He made brilliant runs, but nobody took any bloody notice. And then Bruno comes on, and you could see Bruno being a captain for a change. Instead of just waving at the supporters, you could see him shouting at the young lad where to go, what to do. And when he urged him on for that goal, it was Bruno's goal in his setting up. You could see from the stands he was urging him on and on and on. And eventually, bang, in it went. I'm glad that monkey's off that lad's back, because he must have been starting to get worried about what was happening. And his agent now making noises with, you're not going to play him, why don't you sell him, and all that sort of thing. Well, there is a footballer in there, I'm quite certain. And if he's in the right place with Eddie Howe and his team to bring him out. But he showed in that one flash the potential's there, and that's fantastic. And Anthony Gordon was Anthony Gordon. But as I say, when they came on, it just livened the whole game up. The pace of the game changed, and that was Bromley lost, basically. Once we did that, and we could relax and take it easy. As to the other players, senior players on the pitch, well, I love Miggy Almiron for lots of reasons, but not on Saturday. On Sunday, I didn't love him. He might as well have been in the dressing room for what he contributed. It was really poor. And it was, there was one or two others who struggled to get into the game, but maybe that's because of lack of minutes or whatever. But it didn't matter. Once Bruno came on and Gordon came on and the pace changed, Bromley were gone, and it was nice. The only last thing I was going to say was when they got their goal, I'd been prattling on, all last week and the week before about their centre forward. Well, he made the goal because he took the two centre halves out, so the lad who scored it could get it. But he didn't do any more damage, thank goodness. But again, there's a player with something in him, and to keep worth keeping an eye on. So I loved it. Steve, I'll not prattle on anymore. We're through. That's the important thing, and ready for the next session. I was also trying to compare. People are saying, well, what's it like? And I think I've mentioned to some of you that I think it feels like 1955 again. And you know what happened in 55? Well, I looked up the records for 54, 55, and the run into the cup final was exactly like what we're having now. Big wins against Manchester United, Tottenham, Liverpool, all of those names again coming back. And the difference is we're worried about, I was worried, and others in my era would be worried about fielding a weakened team in the cup. Well, in 55, the worry was they fielded a weakened team in the league because the big prize was the cup. The league wasn't the big prize money-wise. The cup was the big prize. And we were fielding weakened teams in the league. In fact, we got fined for it. The last 4 games we lost, if we'd won them, we would have done the double. That's where we were. We would have done the double. But the senior players rebelled against the manager, Doug Livingston, and were basically taking turns at being injured so that they couldn't play. And we lost matches because of that. So the parallels for me are incredible. So if it goes the way that 1955 went, we're in for a happy time, boys.
Great stuff, George. Darren's picture isn't wonky. Darren actually came to see me at half time at the match yesterday and said to me that I never thought I'd say this, but we're actually missing Murphy. And that is true, Darren, isn't it? You did say that.
Yes, I did, Stephen, and that's how bad Mickey Amaron is.
Must have had 3 pints at half time, not the 2, Daz.
No, he was Mickey Amaron. His instructions on how to play football because he was absolutely dreadful yesterday.
He's found a new player to pick on, which is good news.
He really wouldn't do much more.
He was rested because he's a star player. We know that. I just want to say thanks to Denise. She sent us something today. She went, I just started writing this and it really flowed well, and then only took us 2 minutes to write. She's a big Anthony Gordon fan, and of course Gordon did turn the game a little bit yesterday. She goes, I love AG. He's got time. He gives his time to a little girl and does a celebration when scoring. He's got time to have his photo taken with me when he was on his way back from Wembley. He's got time to give brilliant interviews. He's got time to sign shirts. He's got time to read to improve his mind. He makes time for Isaac to get into position to score. He makes time to create a brilliant pass, and he stops our opponents' time by catching them with pace. He's got time to score. He gives us fans the time of our lives. That's a nice little thing that you've written there, Denise. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, well done. Brilliant stuff. Ian, thoughts on the match yesterday, mate? A 3-1 win. Birmingham in the next round as well.
Yeah, first of all, a big shout out to Shartetta, who didn't let me down with his histrionics after getting a good stuffing. I don't know whether you remember us shouting him out, saying we had two floppy penises in a row. Well, he definitely lived up to that. He was pathetic, and it's no wonder that his team's playing rubbish when he goes on like he does. It's impossible for any team, I think, to be able to perform when your manager's behaving like that. And I think that's credit to when you look at what Eddie does with our players. He's never too high, never too low. Unlike that wet wipe. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to put that in first of all.
No problem.
I thought, yeah, we looked like a team of individuals in the first half. I think, apart from maybe Miley, even Miley misplaced a few passes, but he was definitely head and shoulders the best player for us in the first half. And then, his strike, what a strike that was, like unbelievable. And I thought the second half, it was obviously Bruno coming on massively changed things. I'm not going to go through everything because I think it was all pretty well covered by George. I thought Matty Targett, your favourite, Steve. I thought Matty Targett was good. I thought he had a good game. He played some important passes. He got forward well. He looked like the target of the first 6 months he played for us rather than the one that we've had since then. Now, obviously, you've got to take into consideration the opposition, but I actually thought they were really good and they did it. They were a credit to League Two. So, yeah, he was good. Anthony Gordon coming on changed things as well, just the way that Gordon obviously does. But my favourite thing was seeing Asula I've never seen anybody as happy in my life. The last time I seen someone that happy was when the Irish one got picked for One Direction. You know, when he couldn't believe his bloody luck. You know what I mean? It was like, then I've never seen anybody as happy as that kid when he scored that goal. And honestly, I nearly cried when he scored that goal. What a strike that was, by the way. But yeah, he was. I thought Asula's attitude. His attitude was amazing. He tracked back. He was chasing everything. He's got all the attributes to be a really good player, but his main attribute for me is what I just said: his attitude. I thought he's a credit. He's a credit to himself, and he never stopped. And I think he deserves a chance, you know, because his touch is actually really, really good. I don't know whether he knows what he's doing half the time, but what he was doing was decent. So yeah, no, I think he was. Miley's my man of the match, but I think that Asula was definitely my favourite player of the match. He just looked so buzzing with that goal. So yeah, over to you, lads. But yeah, I loved it.
Good stuff, Kev. Asula's goal was wonderful. But I'm not 100% sure that he is the finished article, mind. I still think there is a long way to go for Asula. You can see why Eddie Howe has resisted the temptation to put him on more often. But another valuable 90 minutes plus for him, as there was for Miley as well.
Yeah, and those who are pushing for a first-team berth against the Brunos of the world, the Tonales of the world, whoever it is across the team. For those who came into the side, the 9 changes, I didn't think, outside of maybe Asula, agree with Ian, his touch, his enthusiasm for the game, it's raw. It's just a joy to watch a little bit. It's just a kid running around, loving the game, having a kick about against Bromley. But outside of all that, I want to say a fair play to Bromley, because I thought they defended better than some Premier League sides. To be perfectly honest, in the way they were structured, the way they were organised. But League Two's League Two. You're going to find the levels eventually, and obviously the cream rises. That's just nature of the beast of football, unfortunately for them. But they give a good account of themselves, and an ex-goalkeeping coach and the plaudits that he gave the city and our fans for, appreciating what they've done. So fair play to them. But going into our side, I thought. Yeah, with the Asula thing, I thought Miley was composed and controlled, but gave the ball away too many times. But the ball through to Asula was like Tonali-esque. You can see the imagination and what he sees in training. But again, he just needs them minutes coming back from a metatarsal ankle injury, that part of the body. So that's going to take him time. And I think they've been very careful, especially with age. And you've got growth plates in there where that could affect your overall growth and overall development of muscular part of your body and your bone structures and things like that. So I think they're being very, very careful moving forward with him. But at the same time, there was others in there, the more experienced ones, flagging Sean Longstaff, who I thought should have really took control of the game, didn't. Miguel Almiron, well, I agree with George. He might as well have been sitting in the changing room watching it on the telly, to be honest, because he gave the ball the one in the second half, I think it was, when he burst forward, then cut inside and just passed it to the central midfielder. And I was thinking, we're playing in black and white, Mickey. We're not playing in a beige today. We're playing in black and white, son. Pick your head up. So, and that's the confidence of the players. Does that say to me? Are they on the way out? Is it a confidence thing? But if it was me as a player, I would want, or even if I'm watching, I would want to see those players give everything that they have. And that didn't occur. And that's why the changes had to be made, regardless if Barnes has a muscle injury. Not good enough, especially against, no disrespect again to Bromley, you know what you're going to get. So if those players want to be in the first team, they should have been at the intensity of our first team, what they go at every week, and they didn't do it. It had to come down to Bruno and Anthony Gordon to come on to show, "Hi lads, this is how it's done. We'll carry the team. We'll carry the team and get a couple extra goals, so we're a bit more comfortable in the game." But yeah, look. At the end of the day, we say. You don't see what's written on the trophy at the end of it, how we got there and who won, the score lines and things like that. You just get your name on it. And we won, we're through. That's the whole purpose of the cup. And we're through the fourth round. Not going to be probably an easy one. Don't know much about Birmingham City. But it's a trip to St Andrews, which is not always an easy place to go on whatever evening. So it's always going to be a difficult game, regardless, FA Cup, their cup final, whatever you want to say about it. But again, job done, move on, 8 in a row, consistency. That's all what matters in my world.
Barry, another cup and Newcastle into the next round. Obviously did really well in the Carabao Cup last Tuesday. Fantastic result. And of course, that game is only at half time, but 2-0 up from the away leg. History tends to suggest that the team that wins 2-0 on the road tends to get through. So that's for another day. The FA Cup was here and now, though. Great result. What was your take on that game?
Yeah, can I just say as well, well done to the lasses who beat Forest as well and moved on to their FA Cup next round. They did. It was from what I saw of it, was a really tough game, but they knuckled down and they did really well. Bless them. For the lads, just pretty much what the guys have said. There was players that you thought they're in there, they've got a chance to shine. Didn't really take it. A lot of them. I mean, I'm one who harps on about Sanusi getting a chance, and I was really, really disappointed. I thought his performance was poor, and I knew that he's always going to try and be like a St. Maximum type player who takes on players. He's very skillful, but I know he's only 17, but I mean, he's what, the same age as Miley, and he looked.
He's too lightweight though, yeah, isn't he?
Yeah, he looked lost at times, and I'm not saying he hasn't got time to develop, but I was hoping to see a bit more from him against that level. Because I love the kid's enthusiasm, I love his ability to run at people, but he just looked completely lost. I agree, Longstaff didn't have a great game. Totally agree with George. Mickey may as well not have been on the pitch. I think he knows he's a way out the door. Can I just say to all the fans who were at the match, I was so proud of everybody for the way that they chanted for Dubravka, because I think it was totally deserved. And obviously watching his face and his reactions to the crowd getting behind him was just absolutely unbelievable. I'll be very surprised, hopefully, now if he goes, because that was just mint to watch the Newcastle fans get behind him. I mean, I was surprised he was playing. I honestly thought the Greek guy would get a game, but I'm really impressed with the way the fans got behind him. So it was a good game, Steve. Like the guys have said, it was a bit of a shock to go down 1-0, but sometimes you get that with being a Newcastle fan. I think the difference is now that the team now, you know that they're not going to sit back, that they're going to go for it and they're going to get back into the game. Yes, we did need some of the so-called big guns to get us through, but yeah, great result. Birmingham away, we have quite a bit of history with them, so should be a good game. I was watching the draw and just had this horrible feeling that Man City hadn't been drawn out the list now. Oh, please don't let us get Man City. So I'm quite happy with Birmingham. I'll settle with that now. Totally agree with George. I mean, I've done a lot of research on the Busby Babes in the past, and especially on Duncan Edwards, who was classed as the greatest English footballer, or potentially the greatest English footballer that had ever been. And to make the comparison with Miley, I think you can't get any better than that, because Edwards was absolute class. Bless him.
Yeah, interesting points you make. I mean, Sanusi, yeah, I thought he was better in this game than he was in the pre-season. I think he's learned a bit. Still a long way to go for him, but I genuinely think ultimately he will come good. It may be one of those players we end up selling, mine, but very, very, very raw at the moment. I agree with Mark Byers in the chat and what he said about Lewis Miley. He's got a long way to go. Still, I mean, the difference between Miley and maybe others on the fringe is that he's had a lot more first team experience. So, it's about what I think George keeps going on about, his running style and his gait and stuff like that. There's, they've always got to be very careful with Miley, but there's certainly more physicality about him. He's beefed up a lot. So that's going to change. That's going to change the way he plays as well. And as for Dubravka, I've had this conversation. I've pre-recorded Talk of the Tune for Wednesday. Had this conversation with Sid, and Dubravka didn't become a bad goalkeeper overnight, but he suddenly hasn't become the best goalkeeper in the world overnight. I genuinely think that there was overreaction when people were saying he was the worst keeper, and I think there's overreaction now saying how important he is to Newcastle. I think, let's face it, if Newcastle are going to progress, we need a new goalkeeper, and we need a strong goalkeeper. You need to build from the back. I think both of our keepers have got strengths and weaknesses, but I genuinely think that, from our perspective, we have got, to find another keeper. But I think this season, it makes more sense keeping a hold of Pope and Dubravka, because hopefully we've got a final on the cards, and we don't want to be going into the final having to play, Vlachodimos Odysseus in the final, like we did with Karius in the last cup final. We want to make sure that we can play a goalkeeper that knows what he's doing. But the difference between Dubravka and Pope, very simple. Confidence in that back four with Dubravka's distribution. They feel that his distribution is they can deal with it. There's no panic. With Pope, there's been a bit of panic. Maybe as well, he is struggling a little bit with when he's come back from that injury. But at least we've got two decent keepers, I would say. Alan, give us your views on the game of the weekend.
What more can I say? What the lads have already said. Steve, I think Longstaff, Miggy and Bonds were fantastic. I think if they play like that, they'll add another 5 million on their transfer fees. But seriously, lads, I think Miley was outstanding. And I totally agree what you've just said, Steve, about the keepers. Because if we'd got beat off Bromley 1-0, we would have been blaming Dubravka, because I think Pope would have saved that shot, actually. But then again, we want the two keepers. So what you said about the keepers is spot on. I think it was well worked. Coming back, Miley's goal was superb. Suela's goal was absolutely superb. So what the lads have said, the other lads didn't take their chances. Bonds, Longstaff, Miggy did not shine, and they needed to shine in a game like that. I think I've just got a little bit of query. I think Barry was a bit harsh on Sasuna coming in. I think he tried really hard to impress. It didn't work for the lad. But, like I say, we're through to the next round. It isn't going to be easy against Birmingham because they're top of their league. And away from home, the crowd will be up for it. So it's going to be one of them nerve-wracking cup ties. But hopefully, and we should, get through the next round. But regarding the last game, absolutely superb against Arsenal. And Piers Morgan can do one. He's saying about driving up to Newcastle and putting £140 million on Isaac to buy him. To win big trophies. Well, I've got news for you, Piers. Newcastle want to win big trophies as well. He's going nowhere.
Yeah, every Arsenal fan's on the wind up with that. The fans, I think, have finally realised that Isaac's going nowhere. It's time for these so-called celebrities to understand that as well. They're just trying to get a bit of clickbait off the back of the whole story, which is typical of some of these narcissists. Yes, your views, Magnus, on the game of the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, first half, I mean, it wasn't fantastic. Can you hear me all right? Everything fine, yeah?
Yeah.
Testing. You sound great, Magnus. Unfortunately, it means that you're not going to be accused of booming anymore on yes. So lots of people are anticipating it, but you sound fine, mate.
Yeah, somebody saw me on the bus the other day, didn't they? I mean, I must have a double over there in the away end. Well, that would be exciting. Maybe I'll meet him one day. But with regards to the game, I'm really glad to see Miley just back in the team. We're going to need him now with Willock out. And the first goal, I mean, I guess we can say that, he was a little bit close to the action and so was Trippier. But for now, conceding an early goal doesn't worry me so much anymore. We just got the weapons to deal with it and get back into it. And that's a joy to behold. I didn't always feel that way. Going under used to be a serious problem. Soon after the goal, we had another opportunity where the guy called Imre stormed up the blonde guy stormed up the wing and And I could see Harvey Barnes running after him, but I couldn't see Matt Target anywhere. But I mean, I'm not criticizing Matt Target. He was doing a lot of work going forward, and I'm not slacking off his performance. I mean, it looks like what I'm really happy about is the fact that Eddie Howe seems to be spreading the load a little bit. We have the games are coming thick and fast with the treble still up for grabs, and it looked like both Barnes and Jolinton were pre-planned going off, giving each player 45 minutes so that they stay in shape and they get some minutes, but no danger of any sort of injuries or when. Talking about injuries, I think Osula came a little bit close when he hit the post there early game, but Osula had an outstanding game, man. I'm very excited to see the minutes that he got, and well, my favorite moment of the game was when he scored, and to see the togetherness, and whenever one of us scores his first goal, we're all there to celebrate with him. You know, this is what I like to see. We're in this together, and especially on big moments like that, scoring a first home goal. Glad to see absolutely everybody on the pitch coming to celebrate with him. He was. I think Osula was sensational, and it looks like if he's practicing every day with Alexander Isak, I think some of that magic dust is just wearing off on him. So what a great company to be in, to learn and improve, to be side by side with guys like Alexander Isak and of course Callum Wilson when he's there. What else did I have to say? But I was also happy to see Sanusi play his first minutes. Let's not forget that this was his debut. And he was moved from the left wing to the right wing, and correct me if I'm wrong. Did you guys see Bruno G play as a false nine right in that end of the game? That was a little bit different, but nice to see that Sanusi can at least play on both wings. And I don't read too much into his performance. Like you say, he's an unpolished gem, he's in a great company to improve. Miley for me was the shining light. It made no difference that Tonali wasn't there. All in all, really pleased. How can I be anything else? 8 games in a row. I am really optimistic for the next 2 games as well, and long may it continue. I'm very pleased to see, especially second half. Slightly worried in the first half, but I'm all in all very happy with the performance.
Okay, good stuff. What's your feelings, Tom, on that match yesterday? We obviously were exchanging comments in the chat yesterday, but what was your take on the game?
Well, we should win, right? Our next 11 should beat their first 11. So I went in wanting to see Osula and expecting to see us play well. And I was a little disappointed the first half. It was pretty, I think George said pedestrian. I think that's a really good word for it. And some people say that people had a chance to shine and they didn't. And I saw that too, but I don't want to dwell too much on the negativity. Obviously, there's positivity there. And one was I thought Target played pretty well. I thought he grew into the game. He did all right. But when Hall came on, it's another level. I mean, it's unbelievable how much better he is. When Bruno came on, it was another level. When Gordon came on, it was another level. So we had some people play some decent games. Some of them not as much maybe, but when you saw our first guys come on, you knew that we could ratchet it up, that we could do whatever we wanted to do on the pitch, I think, at one time. And yes, they were tiring. They had a thin squad, but we have some really world-class players on our team. And even Target, who I thought played well when Hall came on, it just really solidified in my mind how great Hall is and how great these first team players are. And we haven't been on since the Arsenal match, and I just wanted to pull out a little stat here that I thought was really interesting. I think Gabriel and Saliba are the best pairing center backs in the league, and the Arsenal has given up the fewest goals in the league. So I think it has something to do with that. I think Ray is a good goalie too. I think Liverpool has two really good center backs, right? They have Van Dijk, who's been recognized as being the best. They have Kanadi. I think that's also a very, very good center back pairing. They gave up 19 goals. And then Forest actually gave it the third fewest goals. The pairing with Murillo and the other guy's name that I can't pronounce back there, they're pretty good, right? And then I look at our pairing of whether that's Cher and Burns, or if it's Botman and Burn. And I don't know if we have the best two, but we have the best three. Those guys can go back and forth. It's unbelievable how solid we are in the defensive end of the pitch with those three guys playing with each other and Tonali in front of them. So we are now fourth best in goals conceded. And I think the three center backs that we have, two are a little bit older, we know that, and Tonali in front of them is really fantastic. And when I talked about those other three, just as a reminder, when we played against Arsenal, we got 2 goals. They've given up 18 all year. When we played Liverpool last, we got 3 goals. They've given up 19 all year. And if you look at Forest, they've given up 20 goals, and we got 3 the last time we played them. So in all of those matches, Isak made them look foolish. Isak made Van Dijk look foolish. He made Saliba look pedestrian. So I'm really, really pumped up about not only how solid we are in the back, which is terrific, and I think those 3 guys can rotate really, really well, but what a class guy we got up front too. And then you pair him with Gordon and Murphy and have Bruno behind him directing things. I'm just so positive, and I just wanted to call out as a really great result last week too. Let's not forget about that, guys.
No, well said, Tom. Well said. Pablo, good evening, mate. What's your take on the FA Cup game?
Yeah, decent in the fact, if you look at it as a test and as an experiment, you know what, we've come out, we've won an FA Cup game in an important round, and FA Cup weekend's amazing, and it throws up these draws. There are positives, there are negatives. It was lovely, like you lads have said, to see Miley, Ashula. Ashula reminded me a little bit when he was doing his shaky footwork. I saw a little touch of Espria. You know what I mean? Taking myself back to them days. The negatives as such were, I heard rumblings, maybe in our chat or in general about Dubravka should have got down to that goal. Well, maybe the 3 players in front of him that were sat having an ice cream, maybe could have challenged him. He probably caught him unawares, to be. So there's certainly no direction from me towards Dubravka. Nice to see Matty Target, just as a footballing kind of feeling, nice to see him back on the pitch. For me, the players who needed to step up that are on the fringes, your Longstaff, Harvey Barnes decision-making, maybe it was just an off day. We all have an off day, but I was really disappointed with that lad because I thought he's really going to grasp this one. Longstaff, very average, very poor. Again, a guy who should be chomping at the bit to get in that team. And your 2 players who we were looking to come on and do it were Asula and Miley. And you know what? They delivered. So Eddie must be absolutely chuffed to bits, that his kind of experiment has worked. The one thing I'd say about Miley, where I am on him, and it reminds me a little bit. Do you remember when Steven Gerrard come on the scene? He was like a skinny little 7-stone wet through guy. Liverpool beefed him up, and look what he went on to be. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. But I just I worry about Miley. Where does he fit for us long term? Because for me, he's obviously not a defensive midfielder. He's not energetic enough. And that's not his role. He's too classy to be a defensive midfielder. Is he good enough to be a number 8? And where would he fit? For me, he looks like a number 10. But we don't really play with a number 10. So for me, I worry about that, where we go with him going forward. But as far as the lad turning up on Sunday was absolutely fantastic. Other than that, lads, you know, we passed the test. It's FA Cup. We're still in 2 cups. Birmingham away, they'll be a step up, obviously. I don't think he can go making wholesale changes against Birmingham like he did against Bromley. But, do you know what? It's another decent tie. It's a winnable tie. Of course, it's a winnable tie. So, on the whole, mate, absolutely buzzing. But I'd say again, the FA Cup now is the only chance some of these players are going to get to make a place, to make a claim for a place, because all the other games are done and dusted. We're too far into a season now where he's going to risk things like a Schuler's, where he's going to risk things, you know. So I'm just a bit disappointed with some of the lads that didn't step up, but on the whole, absolutely buzzing. And well done for Bromley as well. Do you know what? They look decent. I'm sure they'll kick on in their league. If they turn up like that every week, I can't see them having a problem anytime soon. But yeah, good lads, really good.
Cheers, Pablo. And that's all we've got time for. Thanks very much. Good night. I bet you that made Tilly laugh, Darren. Give us your
I've been waiting patiently.
give us your thoughts, mate.
Where's Mike Murphy?
He was a I hate to say it, he was a miss. I got out of the game. I was glad to see Bromley get a goal for the fans who travel up. But the crowd was quiet. TV and all that. He said at half time the crowd's quiet. It was a strange atmosphere. It was a very quiet game. First off, I thought we were dreadful because Harvey Barnes didn't know what to do. He said he'd take the money, kept going back. Amaron was like hell as chicken, useless. And I disagree with Matt. I don't think maybe done that much. It's only playing Bromley. He kept giving the ball away so many times to me. So he's actually bulked up. He's only played one game. He's considered a good player. One game doesn't make a good player. He's been out best part of the season. He's hardly played all the seasons. To me, he's got a hell of a lot to do to see he's a good player in the team, the formation Newcastle play. And like I say, Target, again, he's done all right, but a few times he could have took a man on down the wing, crossed the ball, and he never did it. Or the only time Trigger done it, he was taking a man and stayed across it. Target didn't. And then made the sub goal and come on, made the difference. He was more direct and Barnes, and Bruno made a good pass. But I was glad to see Zula score. He deserved that. He's been waiting patiently. Hasn't spotted done not playing. And what did Carl Bamian, he kept falling when he come on. The kid, what do you call him? The winger, come on.
Sanusi,
Bamian, he kept falling over. So he's that. So I'm not going to be asking him to come much because he needs to go on loan. That fella. But we won. The main thing we won 8 runs away. So it was a good performance, but we're only playing Bromley. Maybe still got loads to do. He's only played one game. I don't think he was class performance, but still all right in midfield. The amount of time he gave the ball away. But when Tonali come on and Bruno come on, they like dictated the midfield. So like Lloyd Kelly, he done our read again. It wasn't great, but Shaw looked good. But we won. That's the main thing. That's me overall.
Okay. What about Jacob Murphy? How did he play?
He was a big miss. Murphy, I kind of have him back on Saturday. When I said I missed Murphy, everybody laughed where I was. You know what I mean? Bring back Murphy. Bring back Murphy on Wednesday.
Bring back Murphy on Wednesday. There we go. The injuries, they're not mounting up. Muscle injuries, mainly. Basically, Barnes got took off yesterday because of a muscle injury. Isaac, Willock, both expected to at least be involved in some way, shape, or form on Wednesday. And that's what we're going to look at now. 2 games before we all meet again next Monday, George. Wednesday night, of course, we've got Wolves on TNT. And then at the weekend, we've got Bournemouth. So two games. George, let's just focus on Wolves, though. That's the game on Wednesday night. What's your feelings about that game? They come here on the crest of a decent bit of form, George. Yeah. Wolves obviously, a little bit early for team news, but Matthias Cunha will be available following suspension. And they've took 9 points from a possible 30 away from home. 22 goals conceded, which is the second worst in the division, which is exceeded only by 27 that Leicester have shipped. But he's just lost one of his first 5 games. The new manager, Vitor Pereira, has come in and replaced Gary O'Neill, and he seems to have got a little bit of stability in this team.
Well, and the bits and pieces I've seen, they're playing some decent football. But when they go forward, they leave the back open like a barn door, and I think that's why they've shipped so many goals. And I've just got a feeling that if they do that against us, then it's a beautiful invitation for Isak, Gordon, Murphy, the people that have the pace, just to run them down. So I think it'll not be an easy game because they fight like mad, and they do play some decent football. But I still think we'll have a comfortable win against Wolves. I'll be disappointed if it's not 2-0 or better on Wednesday night. Do you want us to go on, or are you just doing Wolves?
Just do Wolves, because we'll be looking at the Bournemouth game at the weekend. But I will ask the rest of the lads their opinion, because we've got two games coming up for them. So, yeah, next 2 games. Ian, from your perspective, Wolves, how do you think we'll do against Wolves and Bournemouth?
Same as George on Wolves, to be honest. I would have said pretty much exactly the same, so I'm not just going to repeat George. They are open at the back, and I think we'll counter them, and I think it'll be as easy as we can make a game. Anyway, it'll be a relatively easy home win. Bournemouth, I think it's going to be a tough game. It always seems to be.
Yeah, I mean their stats here, Ian. Just so you've got a bit of an idea. I mean they've got Chelsea, of course, tomorrow night. But if they avoid defeat at Stamford Bridge, that means they'll have gone on an unbeaten run in the League and Cup of 10 games. So Bournemouth have really found some form.
2 form teams playing each other in it. That's the way it is. So I think I'm just looking at it if I'm looking at it from without my black and white tinted glasses on, I still think that we've got enough man for man, player for player, that we should be beating them, and we will beat them. But I think it's an hard game. But I think we'll do Wolves by at least 2 or 3 goals, and I think Bournemouth will be a tight 2-1 win.
Okay, good stuff. Kev,
Steve,
your feelings on these 2 games?
Bournemouth's the obvious one, which give us problems. Tactically very good. Got a very good manager, in my opinion. Wouldn't mind having him. Gets a good tune out of their side. Well structured, but Wolves are on a bit of a bounce. Playing some halfway decent football. They're not a bad sight to watch, but unfortunately, you just can't put the ball in the back of the net from what I've seen, and you kind of look from afar. So I'm not saying every Premier League is comfortable, but again, we're on an 8-game winning run, and that's very hard if you're looking at it from their perspective, to come to St James's Park on a Wednesday, then a Saturday to play in Newcastle United. That's not favourable for both sets of teams to come up here and try and get a result, however good you are. The Wolves game, I'll go 2-0, and I think we'll squeak a 2-1 on Saturday against whenever it is against Bournemouth. But I think it's 2 wins. Make it 10. Why not make it 10? A nice round number.
Okay, Barry, looking ahead to these 2 games, both on TNT, of course. 7:30 kickoff on Wednesday night, 12:30 kickoff on Saturday.
It's there for the taking, isn't it? I mean, we're full of confidence, like the guys have said. We're more than capable of beating both Wolves and Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth is the harder game, but certainly not at home. I think I would go with a penman for the Wolves game. I think we'll win 3-1, and I agree with the guys. I think it'll be 2-1 against Bournemouth. I just think we've just got to play the form. I'm sure there'll be a lot of changes back after the cup game, so the big guns will come back in, and I think there's no reason we can't take 6, if not 9 points from the next 3 games, Steve. And fingers crossed, like George said, this could well be our season. If we keep it rolling and we don't screw up, which we're more than capable of doing, especially with the fans behind them at home, I don't see why we can't take 9 points in the next 3 games, and then God knows where we are. So I'm I'm hoping it doesn't come back to bite us on the arse, but I'm very positive about these two.
Okay, Alan?
Well, I take a slightly different view to the lads on the top shelf there, Steve. I think Wolves is going to be a very hard game, actually, because I saw them against Forest, and even though they got beat 3-0, they were by far the better team. I know they were playing it to them, but they couldn't, like Arsenal, they couldn't hit a barn door at the minute, but they've got that Cunha back, who's like Isaac for us. He'll be playing on Wednesday night, so I think it's going to be a tighter game. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's going to be really, really... I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's 3 or 4-0, like some people in the chat are saying, because then we can take people off it after 70 minutes and prepare for the Bournemouth game. Like somebody again said in the chat, Bournemouth are missing 2 of their strikers, but they've still got that Semedo and they've got that Kelly Brooks, who are dangerous. In the last 4 or 5 games, the lads against Bournemouth, where they drew or got beat off them, Pierre as well. So it's going to be tough, but I actually think it's going to be more of an open game against Bournemouth. So I actually think we could beat them 3-1. I think it's the reverse way around for me. I think it's going to be tough on Wednesday night, especially with Wolves fighting for their lives and Bournemouth, depending on what they do against Chelsea and what we do against Wolves, depending again about who's injured and who's not, because it's a very quick turnaround. So I'm in agreement with Barry in the sense that we can make it 10 wins in a row, and Kevin, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be the reverse way around, lads. I think it's going to be tough on Wednesday and slightly easier on Saturday, because I think Bournemouth will be more open.
Predictions?
2-1 against, I think we'll win 2-1 against Wolves and 3-1 against Bournemouth.
Barry, did we get your scores?
Mine was the other way around, Steve. 3-1 against Wolves and 2-1 against Bournemouth.
Okay. Magnus?
Yeah, can you guys tell me, were they both at home or?
Yeah, both at home.
Both at home, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, the Wolves games always has a special meaning to me, because my father supports Wolverhampton, and don't ask me why. He just chose it ages ago. I think with the run that we are on, and we're going to be playing our best team after getting some rest, you know, at the weekend, I'm seeing nothing but a 3-0 convincing victory on Wednesday night. And then when it comes to Bournemouth, you know, I've stopped buying bananas. There's no banana peel to find here, and you know, I'm gonna throw away my Stockholm syndrome, always expecting to the feeling that I was on a rubber boat and I'm coming close to a waterfall and then falling down. So I'm just gonna stay strong, and I feel like it's gonna be 2-0 on was it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday. I mean, no, Eddie Howe has a history with them, and we've struggled a little bit. I wouldn't be too disheartened if it's a draw, but I'm gonna stop thinking like this and expect and predict a victory of 2-0 on the weekend.
Okay, good stuff. Tom?
Well, last time I was up, I was saying how positive I was. We got a very strong defense. We have a lot of creativity in the front end of the pitch. We got some goal makers in the middle of the pitch. So I'm extremely confident. I think Wolves is a good side. You can't take any Premier League team for granted. You know you're going to be in for a tough one. But under the lights, I think the crowds will be buzzing. I think we're going to be ready to go on Wednesday. So I'm very positive about that. With that said, you know, they're a Premier League team, so I don't want to get too over the top, but I think 3-0 is a conservative estimate. I'm that confident on the Wednesday night game. Bournemouth is a little bit different. They don't concede a lot of goals. They don't. They've had some really good matches. They're very well organized, and they're playing with a bit of confidence themselves. So I think the fans are going to have to play a big part for that. We need to, if we get off early, there's no problem. But if we don't, we need to continue to support the lads. So I think it'll be tougher. I don't think there's a lot of goals in it on Saturday. So I go for 1-0 on Saturday to the home side.
All right, Pablo.
Well, if we were playing away, it'd be a completely different answer, I think. But both games at home is a blessing again, an absolute blessing for us. The Wolves game, for me, fresh legs, players have been rested. They've got to come out with that tempo, as we have done, as we have seen for the last month, and try and blow Wolves out of the water in the first half an hour, I'd say, and not even let them settle into their game. If we do that, I don't see any problem whatsoever. Even though they've had a bit of a new manager bounce, Wolves doesn't particularly worry me. The Bournemouth game is a different kettle of fish. It's going to be more of a tactical battle. Their manager seems to be very shrewd. I can't see him being at Bournemouth past this season because I think he's labelled for bigger things. So I think probably the Bournemouth game, I don't want to sound negative, but I think a draw for me. If Bournemouth are on their game, I don't think we could be too disappointed with a draw, but we're at home. So I think I bring maybe a slender win or a draw against Bournemouth. They always worry me. We've had our struggles here and there, but that's usually away, isn't it? So I don't know. I'll go for a 2-0 win against Wolves and a slender 1-0 win against Bournemouth.
Okay, Darren.
I think Wolves will be a 3-1 win. I'm going for Murphy first goal scorer because he's back in the team. But I do think Bournemouth will be a 1-1 draw. I fancy a draw for the Saturday game. I think Bournemouth are a good team. That'll be a hard game. So like Pablo said, the draw's not as bad as that. But I want to win, but I think it'll be a draw on Saturday. But I've got that feeling it'll be a 1-1 or 2-2.
All right. Okay. Good stuff. Good show as always. Thank you everybody for watching. Tuesday night, I'll see Joe Allen back at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Yeah. Wednesday will be a pre-recorded show, Talk of the Tune. Thursday, Gibbo will be back at 6 and the Amigos on Friday at 5. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us, Darren, Pablo, Tom, Magnus, Alan, Barry, Kevin.
10 in a row, please. 10 in a row.
Cheers,
lads. Good to see you all.
A big thanks to all our sponsors,
All the best.
Skips and Bins. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Contact them at their website, skipsandbins.com, or email www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickies.co.uk. Email them info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges, all excursions included. Find them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. Their website is media-arts.co.uk. And we're also available as a podcast. You can find us on Sports Social, Podcast Network, iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, then hit the subscribe button. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up that likes each video, and click share to share to your social media. Some Newcastle United events coming up. An evening with the entertainers, 24th of January 2025. Box office number is 0191 243 1171. Or website, Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. An evening with Lee Clark takes place on the 31st of January at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets are available on Voucher or from newcastlelegends.com. An Afternoon with Sir Les Ferdinand takes place on the 6th of April 2025, 12 p.m. till 4 p.m, and that's at the O2 City Hall in Newcastle. Tickets from www.ticketmaster.co.uk or from Voucher. And did you get a book voucher for Christmas? Then why not buy The Entertainers, 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy by Will Scott. Priced $18.99, also available from newcastlelegends.com.